Holy moly, you can barely even see the truck. All right, guys, so we're taking a look at the mechanical fuel pump right now. That's what makes this 93 special, in my opinion, is the mechanical injection versus the PMD injection. Chandler's crawled up there like a spider monkey, like he usually does. And he's done a couple of things for this. This is Sue. This is my dad's truck. It's been in a couple of videos before. He passed away in February of this year, and so I bought it back from my mom, and obviously we'll drive this probably till the wheels fall off. But it's a really clean truck, 1993 with about 160,000 miles on it. And one thing we noticed, it did come from someplace up north. I think Ohio is where we bought it. And so it's got some surface rust and things like that. Some of the fuel lines are rusted. We were having a little bit of an issue with the glow plugs. So Chandler's already changed out the glow plugs on this side, and he's fixing to change out all the fuel lines and the valve covers and all new gaskets and things like that, because we've got a bunch of these trucks around here that we can rob parts off of that were not northern trucks. They were southern trucks, so they'll be nice and clean. So Chandler's crawled up in there and is kind of tearing it apart, but we're in the kind of the nitty gritty of it. And for those who are wondering, you know, what a mechanical pump looks like, or injection pump looks like, that's it right there. So it's in the heart of the engine, and he's just now got to the point where he's taken off the fuel lines right there. And the way Chandler explains it to me, and I think I've heard this too, is there's basically a gear in there that's turning, and it's pushing fuel out of each one of these lines, you know, depending on where it's at, where the little keyhole is. Whereas a PMD is kind of pulsing it, and this is a mechanical thing. It runs off of, I would assume, what, the
it's
crankshaft, or
crankshaft.
Yeah,
right now there's that, and then it comes up another gear, and then there's this gear right here that turns.
Gotcha. So I mean, my preference has always been mechanical injected trucks. So those are the early trucks. Those are the 92, 93, and 94s, and I think in 95 they switched over to PMD. I'm not quite certain, but we've done a few things to this truck. Chandler the other day changed out the turbo. We lost a turbo when we were towing a truck back one day. That was crazy. We lost a turbo and our AC on the exact same trip.
And the crossover pipe.
And the crossover pipe, yeah. We lost it all on that one trip towing a Dodge V10 back that we purchased. So he fixed that. Again, we robbed that part off of a truck we have sitting outside. So far, it's been relatively cheap as far as costs are concerned, as far as parts. But that's where we're at right now. I haven't really talked a lot about Sue, so when he gets all this put together, I'll pull Sue outside and show you kind of what makes Sue special. But I wanted to at least show kind of where we're at in the bowels of a 6.5, what you got to do to get to the injection pump. And that's it right there. All right, there's our parts pile. We got the turbo off, valve covers off. So here we are. There's the turbo stand. And then one of the things Chandler discovered this morning was when he pulled all this off, none of the glow plugs were even hooked up on this side. So one whole side of the engine, the lines weren't even hooked up, and mainly because you can see right there, pretty rusty. And so they rusted off and actually broke the plug end. You can see it right there. It's kind of hard to see here. There's the end right there. So it broke that off. And so this entire side wasn't even, you know, getting glow plugged whenever I tried to start it. So it explains why it was hard starting and literally looked like a smoke bomb went off when I started this thing in the morning. After that, it was fine throughout the day. But the first start up in the morning, no matter if it was 100 degrees outside or not, it looked like a smoke bomb went off. So we're making progress. All right, guys, update. Chandler's taken everything off the engine and painted it and cleaned it. And we just got our new fuel lines in. Had to order new fuel lines because the other ones were snapping off. They were kind of rusty. So there are two different kinds. There's pre-94 and then 94 and later. So if you get the pre-94s, you got to make sure to specify that, because the actual ends are a little bit bigger than the 94 and later. So you got to make sure. I got that from Accurate Diesel. So this is what I'm talking about. These are different on the, yeah, and then it snapped off there. Putting a new turbo on and everything. He's got all the stuff exposed and cleaned. We're getting there. Sue's going to be brand new by the time we're done with it. Okay, not technical first start, but we just got it primed and going. He's going to try it again. There we go. All new injectors, glow plugs, rails, fuel lines. So it's getting there. A lot of smoke coming off of it. But here's all the stuff that we've replaced essentially down here on the ground. And it's getting there. Old Sue's gonna be roaring pretty quick. And I tell you, from a startup standpoint, even though it's still not primed yet, started up so much quicker than it used to. Just from the glow plugs and injector standpoint, probably had, Chandler, how many injectors do you think were really not functioning?
4 of them.
4 out of the 8, and then 4 out of the 8 glow plugs. Really 5 out of the 8 glow plugs were not really plugged in and working correctly. So the fact that this has even started at all, you know, in the past is pretty amazing. There's the Smoky back there, but it would do basically that smoke show first start up every time. And it took a long time to kind of get it started in the morning. But after it ran, it was fine. But that was a really quick startup considering it's not even really primed. So I think we made some progress. Got a smoke show going on. Holy moly, you can barely even see the truck. Golly, that starts up so much better. You actually hear the turbo from all the way out here. I ain't going in there. I ain't getting cancer. That's so much smoother. It's back in action.
Before it had smoke coming out.
Yeah. So she's ready. It just runs a lot smoother. You can just tell.
It still got some air to bleed out.
Yeah. Let's take it for a drive. Well, first impressions are, I mean, it's definitely smoother. It's definitely not shaking as much. One of the things I feared on this truck was that the harmonic balancer was going out because it just shook so much when you're driving, but that's gone now. So it must have been the injectors. It's still smoking like crazy.
Not as bad. It doesn't smoke it on it. It's just whenever.
Yeah.
Kind of like old phones. Whenever you got it redone.
Feels like it's got a little bit more get up and go, but it's just smoother. That's the main takeaway. We just came back from our test drive and we got a bunch of oil and just stuff burning off. Still got to weld the downpipe in, but man, it ran really nice. So much smoother than it used to be. Get our true wastegate system hooked up. We just got a spring on it right now, but yeah, I don't see anything like leaking. It's just burning off. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of old crap in this turbo.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think of that, guys? Chandler did in a couple of days a kind of a tune-up slash rebuild slash make sure it doesn't leave you on the side of the road because fuel lines break. Upgraded the turbo, just cleaned everything up, brand new fuel lines through the mechanical pump. We'll put an oil change on it, and he's going to take it for a test drive tomorrow down to Mineral Wells, Texas and back and see if it makes the journey and see if it gets any better gas mileage. And it definitely runs a lot better. So this truck's my dad's old truck. I owned it, and then I sold it to my dad as I was taking it up to a Mecum auction in Tulsa. I was actually going to go sell it, and he bought it off of me in the driveway down when I took it to his house. I was down there to do some work or something. I had it on a trailer, and he said, well, hey, what do you want for it? And so he bought it, and my dad died in February. He had a pretty bad series of cancer issues and so forth. And so back last fall, he was kind of thinking this would be something that kind of would lift his spirits and get them in a good mood and want them to get out of the house more and stuff like that, and go with mom up to the hardware store and all that good stuff. And Dad only drove this probably 2 or 3 times. He just never, his health just continued to decline. And so when Dad passed away, you know, I bought it back from my mom, and it's a really cool truck. I mean, it's a very unique truck in the fact that it's a crew cab. It's a 93 mechanical injected GMC, which is, you know, kind of hard to find. Chevys are a little bit more plentiful. And then it's the crew cab single wheel 1-ton truck. And whoever had it really took really good care of it. I mean, you can just tell what they've done to the truck. That topper's probably been on since it was new, because the bed is like it's brand new back there. And so we really haven't done anything to it. I changed out the mirrors. I had these kind of weird towing mirrors that shook really bad whenever you'd go down the road. So we changed those out to regular mirrors, put better wheels and tires on it. But other than that, it came to us basically in the form that you see it right there, with the visor, you know, all the lights are working. It was all tinted, matching camper shell. Just a cool old truck. Now, it's about a mile long. It's the longest truck I've ever had in my life as far as length. With the crew cab long bed, but it's 4-wheel drive, really nice inside. Interior literally is like a brand new truck. I mean, you got to see this. It's kind of dirty right now, but I mean, it's just, there's no wear anywhere. There's no cracks anywhere. I mean, this truck is just a really nice truck, and it's got 164,000 miles on it. Everything's all stock and original, and it's just a nice truck. I've got a bunch of junk in it because we went to a swap meet, but just a nice overall truck. And so this is my daily driver. It's going to be the thing that I keep for probably as long as I can. Eventually, we talked about doing a Cummins swap on this, and I think that of all the trucks in the entire fleet that we have around here, this would be really cool to have a Cummins in it. Make it get a little bit better gas mileage, and obviously tow a lot better. So guys, that's the update on Sue. That's what we've done, and now she's finished. Chandler did a good job as usual. And Chandler, anything you want to say?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. That's exactly right. All right, also wanted to do a little tow truck update. I haven't done anything a lot on the tow truck, mainly because I've just been having problem after problem after problem. First thing that happened is one of my rear brake calipers essentially just broke. And one day I was towing a car, and I started noticing behind me I was leaving a trail, and my brakes weren't working as good. And so I bled out all my fluid, and it was a bad deal. I think it was actually, if I remember right, it was actually the other side. And finding a replacement caliper was almost impossible. I mean, I kept getting things shipped to me, and, you know, Napa and online stuff, and everybody would say, yeah, that's the right one. And then we'd get it here, and it was actually like a smaller one. So we had to get the big one. These actually have the big brakes on them. And so finding a place that actually had the big brake caliper was really, really hard. But we finally found that. So that had me down for like a month and a half. I mean, I could have just crimped off the brake line and called it a day and kept towing, but I'm not going to do that. That's not safe. So then I decided to lift a bunch of weight and had a little bit of an issue happen. You know, that's a pretty big little crack right there. Then you got another one right there, and you got another one right there, and you got another one. Woo, another one right there is not good. And then, so fixed it, got everything back in line, pushed everything back, welded it in, and it just broke literally like 2 days later. And it even broke worse this time. So this is the ram that's actually moving the bed back and forth, and this is the 2 rams that move it up and down. Well, then I blew out that ram at the top, so hydraulic fluid went everywhere. So this is an issue that was there whenever I first bought the truck, and it was something they explained it to me, but it's obviously something that wasn't repaired right then. Then we repaired it again. I didn't do the best of jobs. I mean, we didn't really know kind of exactly what we were going to do with the project, but I just needed to get it put back together because I was moving something in the yard. And so moved something in the yard, and sure enough, broke it again. So it has been down now for a good, gosh, I bet you this truck's been down for 2-3 months, and just haven't just haven't felt safe using it. And then obviously with this, it's really messed up. So trying to find the hydraulic rams right now. I've got an idea of how to refabricate all that, make it stronger than ever. But what we've been doing in the meantime is basically just using my little cart by Tilt car hauler on any tow jobs. And it's nothing that's paying, but just, going to pick up people's cars and that kind of stuff that were broke down that we're working on. But old Big Red here has been having a heck of a time, and hopefully we'll be back up and running pretty soon. But wanted to give you an update on the tow stuff. So guys, take care. God bless.